Practical Vedanta, Part 6. If this is not reaching a practical God, how else could you teach a practical God? Where is there a more practical God than He whom I see before me? A God omnipresent in every being, more real than our senses. For you are He, the omnipresent God Almighty, the soul of your souls, and if I say you are not, I tell an untruth. I know it, whether at all times I realize it or not. He is the oneness, the unity of all, the reality of all life and all existence. These ideas of the ethics of Vedanta have to be worked out in detail, and therefore you must have patience. As I have told you, we want to take the subject in detail and work it up thoroughly to see how the ideas grow from very low ideals and how the one great ideal of oneness has developed and become shaped into the universal love. And we ought to study these in order to avoid dangers. The world cannot find time to work it up from the lowest steps. But what is the use of our standing on higher steps if we cannot give the truth to others coming afterwards? Therefore, it is better to study it in all its workings. And first, it is absolutely necessary to clear the intellectual portion, although we know that intellectuality is almost nothing, for it is the heart that is of most importance. It is through the heart that the Lord is seen, and not through the intellect. The intellect is only the street cleaner, cleansing the path for us, a secondary worker, a policeman. But a policeman is not a positive necessity for the workings of society. He is only to stop disturbances, to check wrongdoing, and that is all the work required of the intellect. When you read intellectual books, you think when you have mastered them, bless the Lord that I am out of them. Because the intellect is blind and cannot move of itself. It has neither hands nor feet. It is feeling that works, that moves with speed infinitely superior to that of electricity or anything else. Do you feel? That is the question. If you do, you will see the Lord. It is the feeling that you have today that will be intensified, defied, raised to the highest platform until it feels everything, the oneness in everything, till it feels God in itself and in others. The intellect can never do that. Different methods of speaking words, different methods of explaining the texts of books, these are for the enjoyment of the learned, not for the salvation of the soul. Those of you who have read Thomas A. Kempis know how in every page he insists on this, and almost every holy man in the world has insisted on it. Intellect is necessary, for without it, we fall into crude errors and make all sorts of mistakes. Intellect checks these, but beyond that, do not try to build anything upon it. It is an inactive secondary help. The real help is feeling love. Do you feel for others? If you do, you are growing in oneness. If you do not feel for others, you may be the most intellectual giant ever born, but you will be nothing. You are but dry intellect, and you will remain so. And if you cannot read any book and do not know any languages, you are in the right way. The Lord is yours. Do you not know from the history of the world where the power of the prophets lay? Where was it? In the intellect? Did any of them write a fine book on philosophy, on the most intricate ratiocinations of logic? Not one of them. They only spoke a few words. Feel like Christ and you will be a Christ. Feel like Buddha and you will be a Buddha. It is feeling that is life, the strength, the vitality without which no amount of intellectual activity can reach God. Intellect is like limbs without the power of locomotion. It is only when feeling enters and gives them motion that they move and work on others. That is so all over the world, and it is a thing which you must always remember. It is the one of the most practical things in Vedantic morality, for it is the teaching of the Vedanta that you are all prophets and all must be prophets. The book is not the proof of your conduct, and you are the proof of the book. How do you know that a book teaches truth? Because you are truth and feel it. That is what the Vedanta says. What is the proof of the Christ and Buddhas of the world? That you and I feel like them. That is how you and I were true. Our prophet's soul is the proof of their prophet's soul. Your Godhead is the proof of God Himself. If you're not a prophet, there never has been anything true of God. If you're not God, there never was any God and never will be. This, says the Vedanta, is the ideal to follow. Every one of us will have to become a prophet, and you are that already. Only know it. Never think there is anything impossible for the soul. It is the great heresy to think so. If there is sin, there is only sin. To say that you are weak or others are weak.